Okay, so I've made a lot of videos in the past about Scream characters. Obviously, like, I love Scream. I love talking about the characters. It's my favorite thing. But today, instead of talking about the best Scream characters in the franchise, which is usually what I talk about, I want to talk about the most underrated characters. Because there's so many, like, little side characters who don't have any screen time or, like, are overshadowed a little bit by the better characters, which is fair. I mean, the better characters are better characters for a reason. But I was watching one of the Scream movies recently, and while I was watching it, one of the characters, I was like, this character is so underrated. Like, no one likes this character, and no one pays attention to them because they die kind of early, but, like, I really enjoyed them, and I was like, that would be a great idea for a video, because there are definitely more characters like that, and there are definitely characters that other people would consider underrated. So today, I'm going to be ranking the top 10 characters who are underrated in the Scream franchise. Like I always say, this is just my own opinion. Obviously, I'm not going to name every single character that everyone thinks is underrated. I also am trying not to name characters that I know have a pretty big fan base, like that aren't underrated because they get the recognition that they deserve. And some of these characters people might not like, so that's okay. I think they're underrated. But if you have any characters that you think are underrated that aren't on this list, let me know who they are.
What do you think, huh? You're the expert. You know what eventually happens to the expert?
Now, at number 10, and this is a pretty far 10, because I almost don't consider this character underrated just because, I don't know. But at number 10, I have Liv from Scream 5, Scream 2022. I think one of the biggest problems with Liv and why she didn't resonate with a lot of people is because she's kind of boring. Like, she's so overshadowed by the other people, and frankly, it's pretty fair. In her movie, she doesn't really have any scene of her own. Like, it's always a scene of another character and she just kind of walks into it, or like she's the secondary character in that scene. The problem with her is that we didn't even get to know her. But there's one scene in Scream 5 where Mindy is on the couch and Liv is like upset about whatever, and she like starts ranting about like just weird things. And this moment in the movie is so random. It's so like out of character. Like, she's been so boring and normal the whole movie, and then she starts ranting about random trash, about being like, she's creepy for no reason, because spoiler alert, she's not the killer, so like she just does all this weird crap to mess with her. And this moment I thought was really weird when I first saw it, but now every time I rewatch it, I find myself laughing at it just because of how ridiculous it is. Like, honestly, this is her only moment in the movie where she actually does anything, so I have to give it credit for that. She is very overshadowed, she is kind of random, but she's definitely like kind of fun in the sense of like, she's like not horrible. And I feel like the people who don't like Liv don't really have much of a reason to not like her. I do understand, and why this is why she's so low on here, because she's almost not underrated, because she should be underrated. But I do feel like she doesn't get enough appreciation as like maybe she should. Maybe not that much more, but yeah, I feel like she's a little bit underrated, but like, this is a far 10th place, so you gotta keep that in mind.
I'm not happy that I'm 35 playing a 21-year-old. I'm not happy that I have to die naked. And I'm not happy that my character is too stupid to have a gun in the house after her boyfriend's been cut into fish sticks.
Number 9 is Sarah Darling from Scream 3. This character is played by Jenny McCarthy. I think Jenny McCarthy is pretty funny in almost anything she plays. And this character dies really quickly, but just has like a pretty good final scene, and just like her banter with Ghostface on the phone, which is Roman, which is voiced as Roman but is actually the killer. Her banter that she has with him is really funny, and she's like not supposed to be serious, so I feel like she's a little bit underrated just because like people don't appreciate her for what she is. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the characters in Scream 3, but I feel like Candy is one of my favorites, even though a lot of the other characters outlive her. I kind of wish they had killed one of the other characters earlier instead of her and let her live longer. That didn't end up happening, but I do think that she is a great character for what she is in that movie.
Slashers, huh? What's your favorite scary movie?
Not that one.
At number 8, I have Laura from Scream 6, which if you're not like a hardcore Scream fan, you might be like, who's Laura? Laura is the opening kill of that movie, and she lasts like 7 minutes. Like, it's so short. I remember being really disappointed that she died that quickly because she was like, they were talking about how she was going to be in the movie before it came out, and I thought she was going to live a little bit longer. She wasn't in any of the scenes, so it was kind of obvious that she was going to die early, but I didn't think she was going to die in like the first 7 minutes. I'm not exactly sure how long she lasts, but it's very short. I do think that the performance given in this very short scene is really well done. Even though it's not my favorite scene because it's kind of predictable, I think that her like in the alleyway and her like suspicion and screaming is really impressive. I do like her banter as well in the beginning of this film. I think it starts off the film in a fun way for how dark it ends up being. But I feel like I never hear anyone talking about Laura or how great the acting was in that scene, so she's definitely underrated.
You hang in there, and if there is anything we can do, the Delta Lambdas are very sensitive to your plight. Yeah. Bye.
Okay, at number 7, and I can't believe I have them on the list. I'm counting them as one character because they're never apart from each other. It is the Sorority Sisters from Scream 2, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what their names are, but they're like 2 girls who keep popping up in every scene, and they make little comments about what's going on. I always forget how much they are actually in the movie, and for a long time I didn't even consider them really as a real character. Like, I just thought of them as extras. As I rewatch Scream 2, I always notice them, and I'm always laughing at whatever they have to say. They're kind of annoying, but like in a fun way, and I definitely think that they maybe should have been real characters instead of just like little bits throughout the movie. I definitely think they add to the movie, but they're kind of low on the list just because like they're not real characters still. I just don't consider them real characters. But I do think they're underrated, and I think they should have been written into better roles than they were.
Don't do it, Liv. There's a psycho out there. You make yourself harder to find. Delete social media, tape over your phone camera, disable GPS.
Yes, thank you very much, Edward Snowden.
At number 6, I have Wes from Scream 5. Again, I feel like in the same way as Liv, Wes gets overlooked by the other characters that are definitely better. I don't think I ever hear anyone ever talking about Wes though, like at all. He does die pretty early compared to all of the other characters, which a lot of the other characters live past the movie, so Wes didn't really have a chance. I do like that they named the character after Wes Craven, which is obviously why they did that, and then they end up throwing the party for Wes later on when he dies in the movie. I really always enjoy Wes's scene, his scene where he dies, where he's looking in the cabinets and they like play the music effect to make you think that Ghostface is there like multiple times, but he never is. I always laugh during that part. I also just think Wes is really sweet. Like, he seems really nice, and I feel like his friends all made fun of him, and it's not really fair the way he got treated in this movie. I don't think Wes probably should have been any more than what he was because I don't think there was a need for that because they had the other characters, but I do enjoy his presence in the movie, and I think that his final scene and his meaning of where it relates to Wes Craven is really nice.
Playing with the big boys now, you got it?
Got it. Got you covered. I'm all over it. Hey, look, don't worry about a thing. How hard could it be? You point and I shoot. I'm there.
At number 5, I almost didn't put this character on the list because I know that they have a huge fan base, but I have Joel from Scream 2. Joel is interesting because I know so many people are fans of Joel, but I do still feel like he's underrated. That's the reason he's not like super high on the list, is because I do think that he does get the appreciation that he deserves. I think had he not, he'd probably be number 1 on the list, but he definitely has fans. The actor who plays him is just really funny, and Joel kind of like steals moments every time he's on screen. His relationship with Gail is really fun to watch, especially after her relationship with Kenny in the previous movie. And I feel like you just have to appreciate that he's one of the only people to go, Ghostface is attacking, if I say I'm gonna die, I am getting out of here. Like, that is just the smartest move. That's what all of us are telling someone to do, and Joel is the one who ends up doing it. Joel is the only one who listens to the audience. He's not in the movie very much, but I do feel like he owns like that role. The actor does the character justice, and he makes him a real character, which is what you want. Not every character is going to be a huge role in the movie, but it's like taking a small part and making it a big thing, and that's what this actor did with Joel, which I can really appreciate.
It's Diane Sawyer. Hello. She's a class act, Sydney. This could be some very, very heavy exposure.
At number 4, I have Cotton Weary. Cotton Weary is technically in 3 movies, but he's really only in 1 because in the first one, he's only like shown in a picture, and in this 3rd movie, he dies in the first scene. Scream 2 is really where Cotton Weary shines, and somehow he's a suspect when we already know from Scream 1 that he's not the killer. I really like the relationship that Cotton Weary ends up getting with Sydney, where they kind of have this mutual respect after a horrible event that they went through. I think Cotton Weary is one of the most underrated characters in Scream 2 just because you got all the OGs back, and then Randy dies and you're like really upset about that. No one really cares about Cotton. But Cotton ends up saving them in the end of that movie, so had he not been there, that would not have been good. I think Cotton Weary's opening of Scream 3 is really fun because he is a returning character and he's the only returning character to ever be killed off in the opening scene, which I think was a really fun move with his character. I really liked that. I do think that Cotton Weary adds as much as he could to the franchise, and I think people don't notice that part of his character, so that's why I have him so high on this list.
Okay, so Trevor called me last night. He called you too. He's worried your cousin coming to Woodsboro is distracting you from knowing how sorry he really is.
Okay, number 3, I don't know if people are gonna agree with me on this one, and this is the character that I made this list for, but I have Olivia Morris from Scream 4. As a young girl, I can just appreciate a good girl group, and in Scream 4 with Jill, Kirby, and Olivia, I just really enjoy all of them together for what it is. Olivia, because she dies so early and has like no scenes, is like totally overlooked. Like no one ever is a fan of Olivia Morris from Scream 4. Like how could you? She has no scenes. But I just think that she is so cool. I don't know how to explain it, but just like her relationship with Kirby and Jill, I just really like that dynamic. Maybe it's because I'm a young girl, but I just really enjoy her character. I feel like you really, with a lot of these, have to just enjoy their character for what it is, because these characters are not supposed to be the leaders. They're not supposed to be the main characters. They're supposed to be little side characters, and you have to appreciate when they are good side characters. Olivia's death scene is one of the most brutal ones in the entire franchise. Like, I feel like everyone remembers it because it's just, like, really gross. I can't even look at it because I hate gore. I'm not even sure exactly what it is I like about her, but I think she's so underrated. Like, I genuinely think she is so underrated because no one ever remembers her, and she is just so fun. Like, she's obviously not my favorite character because she has no screen time, but I just have to appreciate her for what she is.
You are concerned with my personal well-being and not with trusting me or anything, right?
At number 2, I also think this character is really underrated, and I feel like people don't like him, and I don't know why. I have Derek from Scream 2. Derek is so sweet. Like, he is just so sweet, and after Sydney going through what she did with Billy, it's just so refreshing to get to watch her relationship with Derek and how he understands her and how he tries to save her. Like, he is such a great guy. So, like, why are we not all talking about Derek? Derek has some interesting moments, and he's a little bit too, like, not letting Sydney make choices at times, but you have to understand that he's just looking out for her. Like, he's just trying to keep her safe, and I completely get it. Like, that's so sweet of him. I feel like with everything he does, he has the best intentions, and he really does put her before himself. Like, he's always thinking of her. He runs in the house to try to save her, and it's like, he is just such a great guy. Like, I genuinely, these top ones I think are so underrated because no one cares about Derek, and he is so sweet.
What?
I got a delay.
How long is it?
I don't know. What'd it take you to walk from the house? 30 seconds?
It'll be fine. Just record it.
All right.
And my number 1 underrated character for Scream is Kenny from Scream 1. I think that maybe because Joel is a little bit more like out there, people always remember Joel as the cameraman, but I feel like no one ever talks about Kenny. Kenny and Gail's relationship is peak. Like, it's so much fun to watch. They have all their scenes together, and Gail is literally like forcing him to do all these things, and he always goes along with it. Like, he is such a nice guy. There are so many great characters in Scream 1, so it totally makes sense why a character like this would go overlooked. But I really do think that he adds a lot to the movie as just the side character. I really like that in the end when Sydney's trying to escape, he tries to help her by pointing her where to go. When they're watching Randy on the tape, but right before Ghostface is about to stab him, he's trying to tell him to look behind him. Like, he just cares about these people. He's so caring. And no one talks about Kenny, I feel like. Okay, actually, I do feel like Kenny does have some fans, because I have heard people appreciate him. And when I've shown this movie to my friends, they also liked Kenny. And Kenny's fate that he gets is just so unfair. Like, it's so bad, and he did not deserve that for as little of a character that he was. But at least he got a fun Scream death. He got to go out by Ghostface, and what more could you ask for in a Scream movie, I guess? So those are my 10 underrated Scream characters. I definitely know some people don't like some of those characters as much as I do, but I do enjoy all of the characters I named, and I know that there are other ones that I didn't name that people do like, so please let me know if you have one of those characters. I think it's just fun to analyze the different ranks of characters. Like, you've got the main characters, you got the like side characters to the main characters, and then you just got these random characters in the background that are kind of the ones I named today. There is just so much thought put into these characters, specifically with the older movies, that is unmatched, and I really can appreciate that they do that, because it really does add to the experience of the movie. And the suspects, like when you're trying to figure it out, you have so many different people that you can think it is, even if they're a small character. But that's all that I have today. Goodbye!